Alright folks, my name is Freyn and today I'm going to be going over a few games in the Comet. It is a British mid-tier medium tank. It's currently set at battle rating 5.0. This is also the first tank in the British tree that gets access to the APDS shell. Although I do try and avoid using it myself if I can get away with it. Now for this video I am using two clips from different sessions. The first one here was a late night session with Oddbars, who likes to play with John in Progress on, so I've arrived a bit late. We've already got C under control and I'm heading out to A because that's controlled by the enemy. Seen a Puma, so just line my scope up with the binoculars, take the shot, look over towards that little marker chevron. I know there's a tank behind those trees. There he goes. Quick shot, more of a snapshot and a bit of luck there than a very well aimed one, or calculated in any way. That's two enemies down, quick succession, and a quick rethink of my plans. Every ally that was a day is now dead. I don't know if there are any more enemies. I'd rather not go wading in there on my own. So I'm just going to hang around, wait for potentially a bit of backup, and make sure I can't see anything before trying to work in a bit more cautiously. There's a little bit of a ridgeline here, and the Comet has some decent gun depression. A nice depression there that I could hide in if needed. It's not really the greatest cover, especially considering the Comet's utterly atrocious reverse speed. But it's better than nothing, and it will at least allow me to use my third-person camera over the ridge and spot tanks a bit before they get into the danger area. Now my team is starting to make a massed push towards the A cap. Of course I could have gone ahead, I could have tried to clear the area, but it's best not to go anywhere alone if you can avoid it. Maybe a few more allies going that way than I think was really necessary. Be nice to keep a sort of even split between the A and C caps, but we are going for it, and that's the important thing. So we'll drive up. I'm trying to take a slightly safer route than all these Shermans, but we'll drive in. And we'll start hunting for the enemy that is here blocking the cap. There's already, if you look at the minimap, an ally gone around the hangar, so we know that the cap should be starting if there was no one here. So I'm pretty glad that I held off on my decision to push in, because there is something here. I would have been driving in blind, I would have been alone. By coming in with support, if one of us does run afoul of the enemy's gun and not spot them in time, at least there should be someone else there to capitalize on it, so that you're not just driving in one by one and dying to an unknown enemy. That's what happened to this Sherman. He went first, he died, but in doing so he gave away the enemy's position, and as I said, we can take him out without any further loss. And with that, we've got A under control, so I can start turning my attention towards B, first with Panzer IV. There's a lot of smoke coming out of those bushes, so just getting my binoculars with a slightly elevated view, see if I can work out where the shots were coming from. A few speculative shots into the bushes as well. And again, just keeping my tank behind this slight raised ground. The Comet doesn't have terrific armour. The turret can be kind of trolly, but it's not something I would want to rely on, so anywhere that I can reduce the amount of tank visible to the enemy is definitely a positive. And we continue our sweep towards B. Again, preferably not quite so many people. We've pretty much abandoned C, and now we're about to do the same to A. It's not ideal, but there are always, of course, merits to travelling en masse. It's not ideal by any means, but at least you're going to reduce the chance that the enemy managed to hold you off. If you come across one or two enemies, they're going to get overwhelmed very quickly. no one's death will be in vain. That forest is just in front of the enemy spawns. There's likely to be a lot of tanks pouring out of it. Keeping my eyes peeled, keep scanning it. Try not to get too tunnel visioned over there. There's an enemy behind this tree line. To the south, it's KV. Already missing his turret crew, so that's the kill for me. Normally it would have just taken out his driver and I would have to reposition for a better angle to get a shot in the side of his turret. It's worth noting that the AP shells on the Comet do have less penetration than on the 17-pounder vehicles such as the Firefly or the Avenger. It's not a huge amount, but it can make a difference at longer ranges and steeper angles. That's when you want to have the APDS shell. Still enough, certainly, to punch through the side of an unangled KV like that. Once more, just trying to stay in any sort of depression I can find, minimize the vision of my hull, and start watching for any sign of a tank. Whether it's the smoke from a barrel, whether it's a bit of movement, any visual I can get before they get a shot on me will be perfect. And while it might not necessarily be the best use of teammates, some of them do seem to be getting a bit aggressive and trying to go wandering into that forest. It's probably not going to work out too well for them. I don't want to really follow them in, but if they are going to do that, the least I can do is capitalize on any enemies that they reveal, whether it's by shooting them or getting shot by them. Either way, it'll reveal something, and it's better that someone kills them than they get that kill completely without consequence. Struggling to find this flak bus in amongst the forest, but there's just a little grey box there. That's his ammo rack. No luck with the detonation, although it's not turned completely black, so I can hit it again. And again, no success. Well, he's been taken out by artillery. There is actually a bit of a tank there, just in that scope, that I didn't see at the time. But I've seen that. It's a Panzer III M, I believe. Just firing slightly too far back, so I need to move my shots over to the right, into the crew compartment instead of further hitting the engine. Let's kill number 6. And I'm just going to hold my position and keep shooting down into this forest. We keep losing allies as they wander forwards. It's a bit of an ambush and death trap in there. I would much rather let the enemy come out to me. Now nothing has shown up for a while, so just quick time skip forwards. They're starting to try and push towards the A point instead of B now. I think they've had enough dying as they drive out of this tree line. And I've got a decent angle on the approach to both caps. It's not the greatest vision, of course. There are still a lot of visual obstacles between me and them. But if they continue to take a direct route like this instead of going sort of north out of their spawn and then cutting west, there's only so far they can make it, and there's always going to be those little hints of a moving vehicle. A little track poking out from behind a bush here, little black shape in the background there. I actually could have potentially got them both there before this one backed off if I'd just alternated shots. But it doesn't matter, that's kill number 10, rounding out the game nicely. And my team is pretty much now pushed through the forest and thoroughly spawn camping them, so there's no more tanks heading my way, and we can move on to game number 2. Now again, not focusing on squad play for this particular video, but I am currently playing with Ash this time, another fellow YouTuber who you may know. And we're on Berlin, and I'm heading out to probably my favourite spot from this side of the map. It doesn't always work out great, sometimes I get picked off by a quick opponent before I arrive. And sometimes I just don't have the necessary support to stop me from getting heavily pushed. But when it works great. Now somebody's already spotted me heading out this way, so that does reduce my movement a little bit. I now want to be keeping these little bunkers in between me and him as best I can. Now I'll just take a quick look, see if there's a shot available to me. There isn't, so I'll start tucking back in. I hear an engine, and there's a Panzer IV. Hasn't noticed me fortunately, so one into the side. Fortunately the ammo rack went off and I didn't have to expend a second shot on him. Just another quick check behind me, see if that player's driving up into somewhere I can hit them. And I've seen a Panzer IV headed to C, so we'll just get rid of him. It's one of the reasons I really like this spot. I can assist the vast majority of the map. It also means I can be shot from the majority of the map, of course. Anybody going to C who is aware of my presence here could get a shot into my back. Anyone going to A could get a shot into me. As long as they know I'm here. Which this KV now does, because my shot was just a little bit too low. Yeah, got him with a second. I'm just still trying to use this bunker as cover because there's another heavy beam marked over towards the A cap. Thankfully, we do have somebody pushing up over at C, so there should be less pressure on me from that side. So I can start focusing my attention on clearing A. I've got some nice flanking shots on them, slightly to the rear, slightly to the side. They're unlikely to be focusing their attention over here. And again, I can also assist the B point if needed. So it's honestly a really good spot, and I really like coming out here. Although, obviously, once this video goes live, I'll never be able to come here again. No, I don't think I'm too worried about that. It does work really well. You are vulnerable from a lot of locations, but it's not somewhere that people tend to look at a lot. And as long as you keep your wits about you, keep checking around, and ideally if your team just pushes one side of the map, then that allows you to focus your attention and not have to constantly panic about things appearing on all sides. The more they support you, the more you can support them. Although, not with the accuracy there, just completely missed that Dicamax. It was a snapshot, it was no time to aim it, but yeah, not my greatest. But we've cleared out pretty much everything I can see for now, so it's just back to watch duty. A hostile team is capturing A, so we'll turn our attention that way. No line of sight yet. Let's move up a bit so I can see the rest of the cap. There he is. A little low damage on the post pen. Let's try again. That's better. And I'm just going to keep moving around. The dirt mound does get a little thinner to this end. Allows me to just ever so slightly shoot over the top, but of course that also means I can be shot over the top. But as said, this position does certainly provide a lot of targets. I can see everywhere and I can be shot from everywhere. We've now got Super Sherman and a T-34 on that corner. Got some artillery on them. It might blind me a bit, so I may come to regret that. But it also turns out there's a second Super Sherman, so it's 3v1. I don't really want to stay where they have that line of sight. We'll loop around, get behind the bunker. Nice solid cover. They can't get to me unless they push up. And I've got teammates over there blocking them, so I can focus a bit on the east again. Just flip backwards and forwards. Constantly looking for targets, constantly checking my corners, make sure there's nothing trying to creep up on me. When everything works out well, and I can put the pressure on, give my team the support to allow them to push up, really it becomes so difficult to be dug out of this spot. Usually, if I'm going to die out here, it generally comes from above. I used to head directly up the river to get here, stopping to cap the B point on the way, and then simply climb out of it. But I found I started to die just a little too much from people on that corner where the Super Shermans are. They can shoot you under the bridge, you can't shoot back because of the bridge and obviously how shells arc in the game. And so instead I've started just rushing straight down over the dirt to get here. It takes quite a fast tank to be able to get in position and shoot you before you can get to a safe point. Got another Sherman getting ready to push up to B. Not on my watch. That's another Super Sherman down. Kill number 9. And there's a KV-2 on the corner now. Might have gotten away, but he just de-angled just before he went round the corner, so I could hit his driver and engine. No escape. And that's kill number 10. Team's pushed up pretty much everywhere, taking control of the map. Game's almost over. And it's all worked out pretty well. It's an odd spot in many ways. You're sort of the vanguard of your team, you're pushing up the furthest, the fastest, but you're never the one that's sort of, you know, in the enemy's line of fire. It's an extremely supportive position and just trying to open up opportunities for your teammates. If the enemy does decide to try and focus on you to dig you out, and this is, as I said, the usual method of doing so, but if they do start to focus on you, you've got a nice line of crossfire where your allies can deal with the person pushing you, or should be able to. Sometimes they don't, but they should be able to support you. If you've got an ally on the little hill to the right of your spawn, which is extremely common, then they can pick off pretty much anything that heads towards you. So a squad working together properly. One pushing forwards, one staying back. It completely locks down that flank. And that just about wraps this game up. So again, 10 kills. Held the map, held the line. All worked out nicely. I've never been a huge fan of the Comet. I prefer the Avenger to it. Slightly lower BR. It doesn't get the APDS, but as I said, I don't really fire the APDS if I can avoid it. But it's a good little workhorse tank. It's certainly no 76 Sherman. It's no T-34-85. But it gets the job done. And on that note, that is the end. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And I will see you next time. Just too late.